Good morning, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Ellingsworth. Some of you may recognize me because I work in Miss Kakavo's room. So, hi, friends. How are you? Other friends, it's nice to hopefully come into your home and say hi. I work across from Mrs. Nelson's room. So, today I'm going to talk to you about temperate deciduous forests. So, you're probably asking, what is that? Well, stay tuned and you will find out. So first I want to talk to you about some vocab. So while I'm reading, you have an idea of some of the words because they're a little bit bigger of words. They may be tricky. So some of the vocab we have is right here. So the first one is climate. So climate is a type of weather that a place has over a long period of time. So for an example, a climate in the desert is very dry and very different from the climate in a tropical forest. So climate means the weather. The next word is hibernate. So some of you may recognize this word. Hibernate means to sleep during the winter season for periods of time that are longer than just one night. So some animals hibernate in the winters while others remain active. So here's a bear, and he's hibernating in the winter. The next word is species. So species means a group of animals or plants that are alike in specific ways and have similar characteristics or features. So an example is there are about 70 species of whales. So these are species of whales. So they're all whales, but they're different types of whales. So they're different species. The next word is store. So some of you are like, oh yeah, Wegmans, Target. Nope, that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about store, we're talking about saving and putting something away to be used later. So an example is to prepare for winter, some animals store food. So here's a squirrel storing acorns for the winter. Our next word is temperate. So I told you we're going to talk about temperate deciduous forests. So temperate means not extremely hot or cold, a middle or moderate temperature. So places in the United States where we live are temperate. So we live in a temperate area because it's not super duper hot all the time and it's not super duper cold. It's somewhere in the middle. And the last word is territory. So territory is a space or area in which an animal or group of animals live, and they often will not permit other animals to enter or live. So this is a territory. So this is their animal territory. So the squirrel lives up in the tree, the bear lives in the cave, and they may not let other animals live in there. So that's their territory. All right, so that is our vocab. So let's get started. So we're going to talk about temperate deciduous forests. Do you know what a forest is? I hope you do. A forest is an area that has a lot of trees. So you might go for a walk in the forest. You're going to see a lot of trees, and that's what a forest is. Have you ever been to a forest? I have. I've been to lots of forests, and I love going around all different trees. And what are some things that you might find in a forest? Maybe trees. Well, you definitely see trees. Maybe some rocks. Maybe some animals. What type? Would you see a zebra in a forest? Probably not. You might see like a bear, maybe a chipmunk or a squirrel. And are all forests the same, or are they different? Well, let's see. All right. So, not all forests are the same. Today you're going to learn about the temperate deciduous forests. So, temperate deciduous forests, hopefully you guys can all see this. We are talking about these highlighted areas here in the yellow. So, here in Europe, over in Asia, Australia, and the United States. Those are all temperate deciduous forests. And these kinds of forests exist all over the world. So you're going to hear about the deciduous forests in the United States, and one that is part of the state of Tennessee and Northern California. So here's this picture. This forest is also a national park called the Great Smoky Mountains. The Great Smoky Mountains National Park, and is one of the most visited national parks in the United States. The mountains are named for the blue-gray mist that surrounds the mountain peaks. Those are really pretty, aren't they? Oh boy, here's our good friend Rattenborough. Rattenborough here with the next thrilling chapter in our Habitat read-alouds. After looking at some very exotic faraway places, I thought we could visit a habitat that is quite common in many parts of the United States. This is a forest habitat. You know you're in a forest habitat where everywhere you look, all you see is trees. You may be wondering why I'm up a tree. Well, I'm enjoying the wonderful view of a forest in North America. There are over 500,000 acres of forests in this national park. Many of you have seen forests like this before, either in real life or in books. You may be familiar with some of the plants and animals that live here in the Smoky Mountains. A lot of them live in many other places all over the United States. There are many different kinds of forests in the world. The forests of the Smoky Mountains are called temperate forests. A temperate forest grows in an area that has 4 seasons, including a warm summer and a cold winter, and receives steady rainfall throughout the year. This forest is also called deciduous forest because it is full of deciduous plants, like trees, bushes, and shrubs that lose their leaves every fall, then grow leaves again when the temperature starts to rise in the spring. We're just coming out of winter, and then the leaves are starting to grow again now. The temperate deciduous forest has a much friendlier climate than that of other habitats we've learned about, and it can support many different kinds of plants and animal life. Ooh, that's really pretty. Got some trees and some light going on. A temperate deciduous forest is made up of broadleaf trees like oak, maple, beech, and elm. These trees grow very tall and are thickly covered with wide leaves that are better at collecting sunlight than trees like pine trees that have needles instead of leaves. Under these taller trees, there are saplings. Those are young trees, as well as shrubs and bushes and plants that bear fruit. Closer to the ground grow shorter plants like grasses and wildflowers. Is this starting to all look familiar to you? I hope so. I'm going to start at the top and work my way down so I can show you this wonderful habitat. The tree I'm standing in now is an oak tree. This oak tree is very tall and is covered with leaves and acorns. An acorn is a seed, and if it gets planted in the forest soil, it can grow roots and a shoot, which will eventually turn into an oak sapling. Like the saguaro cactus in the desert and the acai tree in the savanna, oak trees provide shelter and food for many animals. Owls, woodpeckers, mice, and foxes make their homes in the branches or around the roots of the oak tree, and acorns are food for squirrels, birds, deer, and other animals. So hopefully you guys have seen this oak tree or something like this. I know we've seen acorns before. Ew, look at this. Oh my gosh, what is that? Look at that tasty insect. Well, the oak tree is home for hundreds of different kinds of insects, like the stink bug and the weevil, which eat its leaves and acorns. Moths and butterflies lay their eggs in the tree. Other insects like ants and timber beetles live under the bark of the oak or in dead and fallen trees. Just as insects are drawn to the oak as a source of food, so are animals that feed on insects. Spiders and all kinds of birds hunt for tasty bugs among the branches of the oak tree. Bears and other animals find food here too. The oak tree is an amazing habitat in itself. Ooh, can you guys tell me what these are? Down on the forest floor, there are all kinds of shrubs, the fruits of which are food to many different species of animals. Sorry about that. So the fruits of which are food to many different species of animals, including rabbits, chipmunks, deer, and omnivores like bears. Some of these blueberries are perfectly ripe and they taste delicious. What a tasty treat. Down here on the ground, I can see wildflowers, grasses, and clover. These plants, which cover the forest floor, are home to many types of insects and are food to grazing animals such as deer and mice. One interesting thing about the plants in a forest is that often they grow leaning the same direction. Isn't that strange? Well, they have to do that because they are looking for sunlight. The leaves of the big trees get all the sun. Only a small amount of sunlight gets through the forest floor. That's why it's so shady in here. The plants down here have to grow toward the sun so they can get enough light to make food they need to survive. You guys seen this before? You may have seen this fuzzy green stuff growing on rocks, trees, and the ground in the forest or countryside. Mosses are small green plants which grow in clumps in damp and shaded places. They cover parts of the forest floor like a carpet and are home to many small animals and insects. It feels really soft to walk on, thick and spongy, and it tickles a bit. Now we're going to take a look at some of the animals that live here. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is home to almost 400 different kinds of animals. Animals that live in the temperate deciduous forest are adapted to living in a habitat with 4 seasons. Let's start with the mighty oak tree again.